All right, my friends. Welcome one, welcome all. We are here going live. So, this is going to be just a general talk about learning English. So, first of all, I'd like to welcome you to our Speaking Gringo episode 1. So, I have no idea what we're going to call this. I'm just making stuff up off the top of my head as we go along. So go ahead, comment there. Let me know what you want to talk about. Tell me a little bit about your English learning journey. And we're going to talk about all things related to learning English, speaking English. So we're going to focus on English vocabulary, the grammar. We're going to talk about the expressions, idioms, and expressions. We're going to talk about how to develop your speaking skills, your listening skills, your reading and writing. So the idea is just to hop on here, chat with y'all every day. Actually, let me move my mic around here so y'all can hear me a little bit better. All right. So I hope y'all are hearing me. I have no idea. This is just our very first episode. So I'm just going to get on here, say hello, and kick this thing off. Welcome, Muhammad. How you doing, Muhammad? Great. How to improve your writing skills? Awesome. That's a great question. So we'll dig into that here in just a few minutes. So here's my goal. What I'm thinking is just every day, I'm going to hop on for about 15 minutes and we'll talk in English, talk about English. I'm doing this straight on YouTube today, but hopefully we'll expand out here into other platforms. We'll get on Zoom. Hey, Elio, my big friend. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you there. Awesome. Very good. So, yes. So, I've been teaching English off and on for the past 20 some odd years. I started teaching English down in Brazil, and I started an English school, taught there for about till 2019, right? And then I came back to Florida, where I am now, and we started doing some English stuff online, but then the pandemic hit and everything was kind of crazy. And then I started working, so I didn't have time to teach English. But I'm back again. So, first of all, just by way of introduction, if you don't know me, if you're new, if you're listening for the first time, my name is David Bailey. My friends call me Dave, so y'all are my friends. You can call me Dave too. So, quick question. Is the sound okay? Can you all hear me good? Just want to double check if I need to turn up the volume or tweak something here. Working with title companies and law firms when people buy houses. I also have my real estate license. So I can help people. If you want to move to Florida, come live in Florida to practice your English speaking skills, or if you're like Elu and you already live here, right, my friend? So it's a great, great place. So you'll see a lot of videos on my channel talking about the city where I live and things to do here. So feel free to browse around and enjoy it. But in this podcast here today, like I said, we want to talk about learning English. So I created a whole bunch of courses. You'll find a bunch of videos here on our channel with many stories and things to learn about. So let me just go ahead and introduce myself to all of those who are coming on for the first time, or if you've been here before, this will be a refresher. So, like I said, I went to Brazil and I started teaching English in a school, and I taught for probably 2, 3 years. Then the school I was at closed down because the owner went back to southern Brazil, where he was from, down in Rio Grande do Sul. And so there, I had a friend who worked in the marketing department, my big friend Valber, and Valber had just lost his job. His girlfriend had dumped him the same week, and he was kind of sad. So he came over to my house one day for lunch, and we were talking. And it was kind of like, hey, you know how to do marketing. I know how to teach English. We should start our own English school. So we did. So we just started testing lots of different methods to see what worked, what helped our students learn how to speak English the fastest. So in the end, we started using a method called TPR, Total Physical Response, that was really good with the beginner English students to help them develop their listening skills and speaking skills, and of course, reading and writing and everything that is included with that. And so our goal was to help our English students become English speaking mavens, right? That's the goal. All English students want to learn how towards helping people who are just starting off to the intermediate level and then to the advanced conversation classes. And we did that through a lot of stories. We use stories as a framework to teach vocabulary, to teach the words and their meanings, and then, of course, teach the grammar so that people understood, how those sentences were put together. And then inside of those stories, teaching the expressions, the idiomatic expressions, the way people speak, and also practicing pronunciation, of course, making sure you're pronouncing those words correctly. And along the way, we're focusing on developing those four key skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and helping students develop fluency. So, I have all kinds of tips that I can give you, strategies, suggestions. So feel free to ask your questions, and we will be discussing those. And of course, we'll actually be teaching some stuff here. I've got lots of lessons that we can refer to. There's lots of good websites out there. And I'm not using Zoom today. We're just straight on YouTube. But once we get Zoom, I can share my screen. I can show you stuff. And we're just going to have fun. So, with no further ado, let me just kind of give you a quick overview. This is a strategy. So, obviously, there are tips and tactics focused on specific areas of learning English, and Muhammad asked specifically about writing, so we'll get there. But since this is our first podcast show, I just want to give you kind of a general overview of the language learning process. All right, so when you start off learning English, the very first thing that I recommend you do is you have a goal, right? So you've got a goal, you know what you're trying to accomplish. The best way to do this is by moving through levels, right? So you can take tests online. You've got all kinds of fluency tests that you can take. If you need some recommendations, I can tell you where to take some tests. Some of them are free. Obviously, when they're free, they're not very comprehensive, but they'll give you a general idea of the level you're at. And then, of course, you have all the big famous tests, at the English testing centers where you can go and take these long tests, and they'll tell you exactly what level you're at in each of your different skill sets. So they'll tell you where you're at in your reading fluency, where you're at in your listening fluency, etc. And those are typically set up by numbers and letters, right? So we've got level A1, A2 that are for beginners. We've got level B1, B2 that are for intermediate students. And then we've got C1 and C2 for advanced English speaking students. All right, let me just take a look here at the questions. Elia's asking, do you have books on audiobooks? Can you tell us how many books you wrote and what they are about? I suppose my statement's wrong anyways. No, that's a good statement, Elia. So, yeah, we did a bunch of lessons and stories, and I like writing stories. I still write stories today. So if you go to my blog, davebailey.me, You can read a bunch of my audio stories right on the blog. So, going back to what we were talking about, the fluency levels, right? So once you know what level you're at, then you can start setting your goals. So let's say you're coming in and you're at a level A2 or B1, right? So let's just say you're at level A2. So then you decide you want to reach level C1. You want to reach that level of fluency where you can communicate with people in English. So let's say that for you to get from level, I don't remember the exact numbers here. It's been a while I looked at them, but let's say that you figure that it's going to take you about 4 to 500 hours of study time to reach that level. So then you set a goal of every day studying 1 hour, right? Or 2 hours, or 8 hours, or 10 hours, however much time you have. And you begin studying English. So the best strategy that I've seen students use over time is using, all you need is two things, right? So you need the text and the audio. If you have the text and the audio, you can practice and develop all of your skills. So you take a podcast, you take an audio book, you take a song, you can take a movie because movies have the audio and you can read the transcripts below. The songs have the lyrics. So it really doesn't matter what you use, what kind of material you use, but you take that material and you begin to study it, right? So you read through the text. The first thing you do is underline all the words that you don't know. I did this when I was living in Brazil to develop my Portuguese skills, and I learned a lot of vocabulary this way. So once you go through, you see the words you don't know, you can take your dictionary, study those words, or sometimes just by reading through the text, which is a little bit more advanced strategy, is you can just read a bunch of different text around a similar topic, and then you, through reading those texts, you actually begin to learn what those words mean implicitly. So for example, what I would do, I would take a magazine. In Brazil, there's a popular magazine called Veja, which is a political news magazine that came out once a month. I think it was once a month or maybe once a week, but I would take that and I would just read a bunch of articles and I would underline all the words that I didn't know. So it was a pretty advanced level of vocabulary. And then I would underline all the words I didn't know. I would read several articles. And then by the time I finished the magazine, I would go back, and a lot of those words that I didn't know at the beginning, I now understood because they were similar topics. Those words were used in similar contexts, and you begin to understand what those words mean just by reading, right? So you underline the words you don't know, you listen to the audio to develop your listening skills. So as you're reading the text, you see how those words are pronounced, you listen to them, you understand them, right? So we've covered the vocabulary, you're using your listening skills and reading skills. Then you go back through and you can see how those sentences are structured, how those words are put together, and you see how the verbs are conjugated. You see how all of the English phrases are used, those colloquial expressions, things that when you try to translate from your mother tongue into English, you might not get. You translate literally and say something wrong. So this way, you're actually learning how those words are used correctly. So once you've done that, you've gone through, you've learned the vocabulary words, you've seen how the sentences are structured, the grammar, you've also practiced your pronunciation by listening and hearing how those words are put together. You can actually go back through, put the text aside, and then you can just listen to the audio and try transcribing what you're hearing. Right. So this is just a way to practice. So don't look at the text, just listen to the audio and write what you hear. You're going to write things wrong. That's okay because we're going to correct that in the next step, right? So you put those, though, you just listen without looking, you try to write out what you're hearing, you transcribe the text. So you can use a program that allows you to loop. There's different programs out there, audio programs often allow you to loop. So you can take a section, 10 seconds, and just have it loop. And you can slow the audio down so as you're listening, you have time to write, and it'll just loop. It'll keep playing that same section of audio over and over and over until you get it transcribed. So you might take a 2-minute audio and it might take you 15 minutes to transcribe it, everything. And then in the next step, you're going to go back and you're going to take the text that you wrote and you're going to compare it with the original text that you were reading. And now you're going to look at the words you wrote and you're going to see if you spelled them correctly. You're going to see if what you heard was actually what you wrote, right? You may have understood the word right is incorrect, R-I-G-H-T, but you wrote W-R-I-T-E, right? A different word with a different meaning. So this way, you're not only listening, you're thinking, you're processing everything. So you've learned the words, the vocabulary, you've studied the grammar through the sentence structures, you've learned the pronunciation, you've also learned the idioms and expressions that were used in that text, you've developed your listening skills, you've developed your reading skills, you've developed your writing skills, and now the last and final step is to focus on your speaking skills. This is not as complicated as it sounds, especially if you don't feel comfortable yet speaking in English. All you have to do is just take that text that you were studying, that you were listening to, and you're going to go summarize it to a friend, right? So you'll say, hey, I was reading this text about this, 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 and this, and you're just going to practice speaking what you were listening to. That way you're talking with somebody, you can use the text that you were reading, you can go, the pronunciation that you listen to, now you're going to practice, and then you can discuss that text with your friend. So in this way, you're developing all 8 skills, right? You have the vocabulary, the grammar, the pronunciation, the expressions. You're also developing your listening, your speaking, your reading, and your writing skills. All right. So Muhammad's question was how to improve writing. So Muhammad, this is one of the best ways that I know to develop not only your writing skills, but all of your skills in general, right? So this way, a lot of students that study English for a long time, they study lots of grammar, they know how to read very well, but they can't understand what they hear and they can't speak and communicate the English that they know. So it's important that you develop all of these skills together, right? Because if you it's like going to the gym, working out, exercising, but if you only work out one arm, this arm's going to get strong, but the other arm is going to stay weak. So you have to work out both arms. You have to work out your legs. You have to do exercises that stimulate your whole body. If you just have one strong arm, but the rest of your body is weak, it's not going to do you very much good, right? So I hope this was helpful. Like I said, I want to keep these podcast episodes short and succinct. Just that way, we develop that consistency every day. I'm going to try to hop on here for about 15 minutes. If something comes up and I'm busy with work, please don't be mad at me. But I will try to get on here consistently to help you with your English skills. In future upcoming episodes, I'm going to be using Zoom so I can share my screen with you. We can show you lessons. We can talk about vocabulary. We can talk about expressions. We can talk about, developing all those different skills that you need with your English. So maybe each day we can focus on a different topic. You can tell me what you want to learn. You can tell me what kind of things you want to study and where you're having trouble with your English skills. And I hope to help you practice and develop your English over time. And of course, we're just going to have fun. And we'll have sessions where you can actually hop on and we will talk in English so that way you can practice as well. I'll be sharing lots of resources with you, things that have helped my students over the years. And that way I can share those tips with you as well. So that's it for today, my friends. Excuse me. My voice is already going hoarse here, but I hope you enjoyed this podcast, this episode, and we'll be doing more. So I look forward to chatting with you, even if you're listening to the recording after, like right now it's live, but afterwards you can still come in, leave a comment, tell me what you want to learn. That way I'll have ideas for future episodes. All right. And tell me your stories too. Tell me why you're learning English. Tell me what, tell me a little bit about your journey. Tell me the troubles that you've had trying to learn English. Tell me what's worked for you. What kind of things have helped you learn English. And that way it will help other students. And then I can share your stories from the comments as well. And I think this is going to be fun. I'm excited about this. So, once again, thank you very much for watching our Speaking Gringo podcast, or whatever we're going to call it in the future. If you have suggestions for a good name, feel free to leave a comment and tell me what you think we should call this podcast. I'm going to record it here on YouTube today. We'll put the audio up on Buzzsprout probably and try to get that out as well. And then we'll be adding more resources to help you out along the way. But I don't want to get bogged down with trying to plan everything out, doing lots of different things that takes up too much time, and I can't be consistent at it. So the main thing I want to do is just be consistent every day, get on here. Well, say every day, but let's say Monday through Friday. I'll try to get on here every day and just practice English. So I appreciate y'all being here. You have a good day, and I will see you in the next episode of the Speaking Gringo podcast. Bye.